Alright guys, welcome back to the beautiful Pacific Northwest and Pac West Bigfoots. And from time to time, just to let you know, I will grab a little sip of coffee. So I don't like to edit these things. I like to just read these stories that I get and then post them up here to the blog if you wish. Also, just to let you know, sometime between now and this Christmas, you can grab these stories on the go from Amazon's Kindle ebook service, as we will have Pac West Bigfoot stories on sale there for as low as $2.99. So, with that, let me take a sip of this nice Sasquatch coffee. SasquatchCoffee.com, guys. This story actually comes from the beautiful Pacific Northwest in the state of Washington and is just in time for the holidays. So let's get through this. Let's go. Let's get into this little story here. And I just want to say thank you guys so very much also real quick for all of your responses and everything through the YouTube channel and the blog and all the visits and you guys wondering about these stories and encounters. I'll tell you this right now. Most of these encounters are based on real encounters, and some of them are actually sent in to me directly. So here we go. With that, let's get into this week's story and encounter. This is called Bigfoot in the Christmas Tree Farm and comes from the beautiful, awesome Pacific Northwest state of Washington. Outside of Mossyrock, Washington is where my story takes place. Here is my account of Bigfoot in the Christmas Tree Farm. My farm, to be honest. I also hope you don't mind, but I want to keep my anonymity. And there are several real Christmas tree farms around the Mossyrock area. So I don't mind telling you the area, but I will keep my name and my farm names out of it. So, on with my story. Part 1. My Christmas Tree Farm. I'm so festive that I rub the pine needles that fall from my Christmas trees between my hands, and then I rub that awesome aroma on my back of my neck and smell it. It's great. To tell you the truth, the oils from the Douglas fir and the aroma itself just make you feel great. I'm personally into the oils thing because I know and I make oils for a large and well-known distributor. So suffice it to say, I am a Christmas freak, and being a Christmas tree farmer and essential oils maker for certain coniferous trees, I literally love and count my blessings. I've been in the tree farming business for nearly 3 decades now. In all that time, I have come across some pretty cool wildlife here and there. But this, being this far out of town, well, in the Pacific Northwest, it's rather expected. I've seen many black bears through the years, most of them, probably more than most people do in the state of Washington, I bet. I have seen cougar tracks, but never have I seen the sneaky little mountain cat. And to tell you the truth, looking back after this encounter, what led up to it was the strange tracks I kept finding through the years near the back 10 of the tree farm. It was probably about 12 years into running the farm I had built and started myself that this incident took place. Anyways, the tracks I was finding from time to time were human tracks. At least I thought they were. They looked like it, at least. The only weird thing about them was the size. They were huge, to tell you the truth. I thought one of the Sonics players out of Seattle were making midnight runs through my back 10. I know it is a funny thought, but it being some wild animal that it was, well, my mind was not there yet. This happened on and off for years, and even today, once in a while, I still find them. I even made casts since the day I found out what was happening. Yeah, the Bigfoot thing crossed my mind at first, but it was fleeting. I racked it up to a few pranksters from the local high school playing around with the old tree farmer and passing it down that tradition to upcoming freshman classes. Either way, it was fun to think they were getting away with thinking they were possibly scaring me. Hey, I was a kid too once. However, things changed 2 Christmases ago in a not so nice a way. Broken Trees and Screams in the Night, Part 2. Kids today can get a little more out of hand than they did when I was young. So I automatically assumed that things were getting out of hand and some parents needed to spank more at first. See, before I figured out what was going on, the crazy things really started to ramp up. The Christmas season before last, I noticed 2 trees broken in half on the back 10. That is when and where the craziness and out-of-hand things, or what I thought were pranks, at first started. I do not mind you traipsing around my farm in the middle of the night teasing me with fake footprints, but when you start messing with mine and my family's livelihood, well, that's simply not okay with me, nor any other business owner I know of. I was pretty upset that I just lost money on 2 trees. Yeah, I had hundreds of trees, but this was reckless, uncaring, and just a disrespectful attitude that irked me. Not just the loss. What made it worse was right around the 1st of December, a few weeks after the first incident, I found another one snapped in half. Once again, the top half was nowhere to be found. Well, I was now past irked. I was ready to press charges. I put a call out to the police and also had a piece in the local paper out there to deter any more damage to my property or business. The police came out, and even the county sheriff and his deputies would take a ride by in the middle of the night, slowly down the road in front of my tree farm for a while. I appreciated that. Of course, because of that gesture, I believe the rest of the year was quiet and peaceful, except a few of those crazy tracks would still surface from time to time. I figured that was fine as long as the trees were left unharmed. I could live with the pranks again. However, it did not last past the following March. 2 more trees were found, but this time it was a little interesting about how I found them. I decided to take a look at the back 10 one evening right at dusk. I like to go out and check for bark beetles and other nasties that can wreak havoc on my product. As I headed past the last fence, I heard something that I never wanted to hear again in my life, but I did 3 more times, even up until now. It was a scream so intense that it literally went right through me. I could feel the sound, if you can understand that. It was like hanging out with in your friend's car and they're listening to that crazy rap stuff with the bass all the way up. Whatever it was, whoever it was, well, they must have been heavy, I thought, because I could feel them running away as well, on the ground. I gathered myself quickly and tried to run towards the sound of whoever or whatever it was, but they disappeared. They were just really fast. Once I stopped, I decided to look around for any sign of what it was. I found tracks, bare human-like footprints to be exact, again. And they were the same as I'd seen before, only this time my heart stopped for a second. I realized that this may not be the job of local kids or a basketball player from the Sonics. I started shaking and nervously began to look around more eye level to make sure whatever it was still not around or coming back to harass me. After a few moments I headed back to the house as darkness set in, and yes, I looked over my shoulder at least 10 times or so on the way back. The next few days I took short trips to the back 10 to see if there was any more sign of whatever it was still coming around. And of course there was. More tracks appeared, but at least it was not back to snapping trees so far. 2 weeks later, in the middle of the night, I swear I heard another scream in the distance. A week before Christmas, something interesting happened, of course. I sell my trees to businesses who come and load them on trucks. And they haul them wherever to sell. But I also have a U-cut area for locals to come in for fun and, grab a tree. A week before Christmas, I had some latecomers pop in and grab a few Douglas fir. There was a younger couple who were out near the back 10 acres choosing a tree when they spotted someone running from the far end and into the woods. They, being good folks, let me know just in case someone was stealing or whatnot. As they told me, the young man seemed a little shocked about how tall the individual was. Of course, it was a brief view as it disappeared quickly into the forest and behind tree after tree as it ran. I thanked them and thought little of it until that evening. I spent some time online that evening looking up Bigfoot information on YouTube and whatnot. I came across some great websites about the creature called Bigfoot and even recorded sounds. To tell you the truth, there were not many that reminded me of the sound I heard, except a few were pretty dead on. After a while, I started to feel a little weirded out, to tell you the truth, so I shut it all down and went to bed. Christmas Eve Freakout, Part 4. It was Christmas Eve, and I had 2 really late comers to the season grab a tree each. After that, I would make a walk through the property and see what I would need to start getting to after the first of the new year with the trees. I made the walk through and ended up in the back 10 acres just before nightfall. I had been feeling a little spooked about everything recently, so I started carrying my sidearm again. I did this once when I found cougar tracks a few years back, just a bit. As I came to the northeast corner of the property where the noble spruce grew, I was all of a sudden staring into the face of a creature, animal, heck, a monster I was hoping I would never see again in my life. Its face was a gray ashen color, but was wrinkled as a dried up orange, if you could imagine that. The hair around the face, there just wasn't much. Its nose and eyes were almost human-like, but much larger. It was huge. It stood at least 8.5 feet tall. Its reddish-brown hair covered its body so much that if it were not for the chest, I would have never noticed it was a female. Looking back at the Patterson-Gimlin film, that was pretty spot on, except for the color of the thing. It was also extremely shocked to see me standing there, and because I caught it by surprise, it made a quick charge at me, screaming. She did not run me down, but she came within 10 feet of me and bared her teeth. Talk about scary. Those canines would rip me in half in one chomp, I tell you. I did not move, I did not reach for my gun, or even wink that I can remember. I just stood still. She went down on all fours for a split second, and swoosh, she was off running back into the woods where I suppose she came from. A few seconds later, I could hear another scream coming from the low ridge line in the hills just above the farm. To be honest with you, I was so shaken up at that point I did not even move for about another 20 minutes. I just sank to my knees, praying to God and telling him, thank you, thank you, thank you. The Tree Farm Today, Part 5. Today I've planted a slew of cheaper pine trees along the edge of the back 10 acres. It seems she is still around, and guess what? I think she's a mama. I found some smaller tracks one day the following year. Maybe she was making a bed out of the tops of the trees for the little one. I don't know. I've never told any authorities or given out any information other than the story anonymously. To tell you the truth, I do not feel all that fearful about Bigfoot on my Christmas tree farm. So far, things have been quiet, my trees for the most part intact. However, I'm still freaked out enough to keep my kids away from that section of the farm, and from time to time, especially around Christmas, I can hear the whoops, the howls, and even a scream or two in the distance of a Christmas Eve night.